Sergeant Susan SONNHEIM, Iraq, 2003. Sergeant SONNHEIM served with the Army Reserves as a medic and with the 32nd Military Police Company in the Wisconsin National Guard. While on night patrol in Baghdad, Sergeant SONNHEIM was seriously injured by a roadside bomb, filling her body with shrapnel, blinding her in one eye, and causing injuries to her spine and limbs. Sergeant SONNHEIM was the first woman in the National Guard to receive the Purple Heart. I'd like to thank Vietnam veteran Terry Simmons' wife, Angelique Jarvis Simmons, for sponsoring this story and making it possible for you to see. Angie, thank you very much. If you'd like to sponsor one of the many stories that I've recorded over the years, I would appreciate your help and support. You can contact me. There's information in the video description. And now I'd like to present to you my entire interview with Sergeant Susan SONNHEIM on April 5th, 2008 in Shorewood, Wisconsin. God bless you and thank you for watching. Talk to me.
Okay.
We're just going to talk. So I want to know, first of all, how old you are right now.
I'm 49.
So did you enlist in the Army, National Guard? Obviously, is that what you did?
Well, I'm prior service from 80 to 86 Army Reserves as a medic. I got out when I got married. That was the same year I got married. It clashed with the husband. He's not a military person. So I was out for 13 years. And while we were married, we never had children, and I gave him an ultimatum. I said, either you want children, if you don't, I'm going back in the military. He says he doesn't. So I went back in 1998 as a combat lifesaver instructor through the Army Reserves, same place. The weekends I didn't do much, so I was bored. I needed a challenge, so I switched from Army Reserves to National Guard, where they did D&C, and they went through everything through the military-style book, all that stuff we did. It was interesting. It was a challenge. And
So how many years were you in before you went to Iraq when then? 2000?
We're the first ones in. March 15th, we were deployed of 2003. So we're the first ones in, and I was military police.
When September 11th, 2001 happened, where were you and what do you remember about that day?
Oh, I remember that day. I was at work, and I was in the National Guard Reserves, during that period, and it came on TV that the New York towers were being blown up, and this is what I said. I said to the other nurses, well, you can kiss my ass goodbye because I'm going to war. It just came out, and I wasn't sure. I didn't know if I was. I just thought, oh, I'm going. It was just a thought that just popped up in my head.
I asked a lot of the World War II vets about where they were when Pearl Harbor was attacked, in contrast to what happened, and they just felt obligated to serve their country.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I did too.
Yeah.
And actually, I was supposed to get out of the National Guard. I was pretty much done. You can do 3 years or 1 year or whatever. You can choose. I kept doing 1 year. And they locked me in. So then you know you're going to war once you're locked into that unit.
Yeah.
We were one of the best MP units. That's why we were pretty much the first ones in.
2003.
Yep.
I'm going to raise your microphone just a hair, so excuse me for a second. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, there's a lot I want to ask you in the time we have, but your MOS is a medic? You're a medic. Was.
From 80 to 86.
Okay.
Then I was out, and then I got back in 98 as...
Wait, 80 to 86?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was...
Right out of high school.
Well, I was 22 when I joined the military for discipline.
Okay.
That's why I joined.
How old do you say you are?
I'm 49 right now.
You don't look 49.
Well, thank you.
Are you kidding me? Wow. Wow.
I try to stay in shape. I work out, though.
We're the same age, by the way.
We are.
I'm a little older than you, though.
Oh, 1 month?
19. I'm 50.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'll be 50 this year in November.
Okay. So you went back in, and then what was your MOS when you go back in?
It was a medic, but I became an instructor,
Okay.
combat lifesaver instructor. So I would just train the troops on them becoming a medic.
Okay.
And I got bored with that. It was the same stuff, repetition. And so I switched to the National Guard, I think year 2000. So.
And then tell me about your deployment. You said the first to be deployed in this area, and how you felt going over to Iraq.
I was pretty excited to, well, first of all, you go to the main fort that you train from, where you do your annual leave. We went to Fort McCoy for combat training. We were there for a couple months, I think. And then we've got orders to go to, everyone usually goes to Kuwait first. We went to Kuwait then, after a couple months. I think we got to Kuwait May 9th of 2003. We were there for a few months. It was a big hot sandbox. We did do guard duty around the gates. We're there until I think end of June. And then we convoyed to Baghdad. It took 2 days to convoy into Baghdad. And once we got to Baghdad, I'm like, wow, it looks like Hollywood. Because you see these huge palaces and the palm trees. It looked like Hollywood. And I was pretty excited. I was happy every day. It was hot, yes, but we got ourselves acclimated to the heat in Kuwait. You know, they made us sit outside of the tents. I should have bought in that picture. So then we started training at the Iraqi police stations. Started training them, giving them uniforms, microphones, whatever they needed. We worked 12-hour shifts. I worked 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. every day. There's no such thing as a holiday or a weekend in the military. No such thing. So we would go on top of the Iraqi police stations with heavy weapons and just guard. Just guard for 12 hours. And then we go back to the palace. The palace we stayed at was outside of Baghdad. I'm not sure what city it was, but it was a bath party's house. It was where the sons would hang out. And it had every palace has a huge Olympic-sized pool, and I would swim in that when I had a chance. It was beautiful. I was very happy to be there and finally use my qualities from what I was trained from and put them into task. And I enjoyed every minute of it.
How many months were you there?
I was there end of June until September when I was injured. September 23rd, I was hit by an IED.
Tell me the story.
Sure. That night, it was around 10:30 at night. Now, they have a curfew there. At 11 o'clock, no one can be in the street and no one can be driving, so it was quiet. So that night, somebody came to the gate. I was up on top, so I don't get the intel from the people. The squad leader did. He got the intel from someone. I think they may have said there's suspicious activity 25 meters from the police station. So he tells us to gear up. We all gear up. It's a squad, so it's 2 Humvees. I'm usually in the turret behind my machine gun. That night he switched our roles. He put me as a driver, and I asked him why. He never answered me. I said, okay, all right. So the other sergeant was in the turret. So I drove behind the other Humvee. We got to that area. It was quiet. You could hear a pin drop. And normally the driver gets out of the Humvee to pull security, which I did. And the guy's still in the turret. I had a medic in my Humvee. The squad leader got out and ran to the first Humvee to talk to him, to tell him something. So I'm behind 4 Iraqi police. Now they're not fully loaded with vests like we were, but they just had their AK-47s, and anytime we go out on missions, they would be ahead of us. So they're ahead of us, and there was some stray dog, I think, just laying next to me, quiet and dark. It was in the middle of a huge intersection. I walked up, and I see the Iraqi police facing me, and I looked down, there's a box with a wire sticking out, and I was like 7.5 feet to 10 feet from it. I had no time to think. I think I swore, because 2 of them knew English, and I said, it's a bomb, it's going to blow, you better run. We were running. I couldn't run. I was, split second, it blew at me, not them. They knew. They had set them there. They knew about them. In fact, there was 2 bombs there. One hit me, and they were able to get out of there before the second bomb went off. So we were kind of close. So then the medic came up to me right away, just like that, and she's crying and shaking. I'm like, what is the matter with you? She's like, I didn't know what I looked like. I thought my limbs were off, you know, and I couldn't see. I thought it was because the blood was trickling down my eye. And I said to her, could you come closer? She's like, Susie, I'm right here. Or Sergeant SONNHEIM, sorry. She may have said Susie, I don't know. Because she was all shaken up. She was wiping, I had huge shrapnel scar here. And she was wiping. I said, whatever you do, don't do that. That hurts. Take an IV bag, cut it, and turn it upside down. And just pour it over, and she did. And I think I got medevac out of there. I'm not sure, but it was fast, and it was in a hurry. I got out pretty soon, you know, sooner than I thought. I thought I'd be laying there for a while. So then I ended up at the 28th Combat Support Hospital, where I was pretty much telling the doctors what to do, because I was dizzy and I was flipping, and I didn't know with inner ear, my ears were blown. When you have that, you get complete vertigo. So I said, whatever you do, don't give me morphine. I'm already dizzy. They're like, what do you want? I said, the strongest stuff you got next to morphine. They said, Toradol? I said, yeah, give me that. So then I guess they had me in the cash unit. It's, you know, combat support hospital. And then they got me into surgery right away. Well, they did x-rays first. They had to do full body x-rays. And I remember getting off the cart, asking because I had to go to the bathroom. And there was 2 guys working there, and I said, can I go to the bathroom? They said, sure, it's right there. I didn't think my legs would move, but, you know, I went to the bathroom. I was in like a hyper shock. I looked in the mirror, I'm like, God, I look awful today. Blood trickling down my face, and I was in such shock that I didn't think it was me. So I'm to the back, I come back out, and I said to the guys, I said, you know, there's blood all over the floor. You should really clean that up. It was my blood. I thought it was someone else's. I had no idea. And so after the x-rays, they got me right away to sew up the back of my eye. It was 5 millimeter, very sharp steel, made out of steel shrapnel that went through the central vision out the back, and it was leaking. Now, normally, you will lose your eye when that happens. I didn't. They were able to go into the back of the eye and sew it up. And then they had to rush me to Walter Reed, but you have to stay over in Landstuhl because it's like between Iraq and in the States. So all I remember at Landstuhl is that they just washed the blood out of my hair. That's all they could do. There's nothing they could do more for me except change the bandages on my legs. So then I got to Walter Reed. They got me onto one of the wards. And I think the next day they removed the shrapnel from my eye. It's called a vitrectomy. And then they put a gas bubble in my eye to hold up the retina. The retina's in the back of your eye. So I'd lay on my my front side for 3 weeks, and I couldn't because I had shrapnel from head to toe. The vest that I had on saved my life. Otherwise, I would have been a goner because they said when they took the vest off me, they could stick their fingers through it. It almost hit through my heart. So anyways, they removed the shrapnel the next day, and I think I was there for 4 days on antibiotics and pain meds, and they got me out of there right away, and I couldn't walk. It was very hard. I was wheelchair bounded at Walter Reed for a while. Pretty much slept every day. I didn't eat for like a month. I think I drank just sips of water with pain meds. And this was the time my mom and sister was there. My mother was dying from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she actually picked me up out of the bed at Walter Reed and bathed me. And I'm like, I wasn't even embarrassed, you know. And then that's the last time I seen her. Yeah, so.
She died after that? Soon after that, or? Yeah, July 6, 2004. So I got to Walter Reed, I think October of 2003. Yeah, and she died 2004. But I was there for 2 years, and I couldn't fly home. Actually, last time I seen her was for the Purple Heart, May of 2004, and she died in July. So
That was
You were
last.
in the hospital for 2 years?
Yeah, I was there the longest because of all the extensive, the ear damage. I had a tympanoplasty, eyes, the removal of the shrapnel, the scar revision. I had laser treatments to my legs from here down to get rid of the, well, if you got 1,000 pieces of shrapnel, he lasered them to kind of just to diminish them a little bit, and there was like dye from the bomb on my legs. It was like blue dye. The laser actually took them off. So I had laser done for a year on my legs once a month, and it's painful. He did laser on my face from the shrapnel and my arms. And there was actually shrapnel sticking out of the places on my arms. He had to remove them. And they also removed shrapnel underneath the bad eye, little pieces of it. So
any bitterness or resentment during any of this time of
No.
healing, rehab?
not at all. I have no anger whatsoever, although the husband did. He was angry that I joined. He was angry that I went there, and he was angry that I was injured. And that's a clash. So the family actually goes through the PTSD and the depression you're going through. They're going through the same thing. So when I came home in 2005, we had a divorce. And I didn't want to, but it was something we had to do. He wasn't there for me. I needed him, and he wasn't.
Well, of course you did.
He's slowly coming around and caring a little more about my needs and, my disability to hear and see. So,
I mean, your life changes in an instant in
Mhm.
combat. I mean, it did for you, and then the process. And I've heard so many stories, and it's just listening to you, but not many female stories of combat. So the fighting in Iraq at the time you were there, sporadic? Is it? I mean, the uncertainty is just, I'm sure, difficult. But all these bombs and stuff is so unlike World War II, isn't it?
oh, pretty much so, because it was you didn't know. We were driving fast through Baghdad, the fastest we could drive, because it's less aim to get you. But sure enough, we had bombs going off next to us, and like AK-47 bullets flying past us. But we didn't, we just sucked it up and moved on. That's our mission. And like I said, I was just glad I was there fighting. Very happy to do that.
Did your mind ever reflect back, even during training or being over there, to maybe Vietnam, Korea, World War II, and just the pride of the Army or just the military in general? Does a person in your position ever think about those things? Are they instilled within you in basic training? I mean, how does the pride and tradition of who you represent carry over into combat?
During the combat, during it, you don't think of that.
Or in and around it.
You don't think of that until you get home. It didn't sink into me, the pride and the patriotism and receiving the Purple Heart, until I met Vietnam veterans. They picked me up. They took me to the wall. And I'm like, why would I want to see a bunch of names on the wall? Like, you've got to see it. I seen it, and it's like, it's something you have to see. It was awesome. So it didn't settle in until I met them. And they helped me out, and we talked about our stories, and I was just, yeah, okay, but then it finally sunk in. It took a while for that pride to sink in. But I was just very happy for them, and I felt bad for them, what happened to them when they came home.
Yeah, well, if you watch my Vietnam film, you'd be very moved.
Yeah.
Especially at the end, we go to the wall, and I
Oh.
shot a music video to it. It's very moving. Before that, they talk about their homecoming. But anyways, I agree with you. They're an inspiration to me.
They were to me,
One of my best friends who's in that video is a triple amputee from Vietnam. And
Triple, wow.
He lost his arm and both legs.
Yeah.
And shrapnel in the head, the whole bit. But I mean, do you count your blessings? I mean, how do you feel about life? How does this change your perspective of life in general, just the military experience you've had?
What changes, I'm very proud to speak up and speak about it, to let people know that, yeah, there is female out there in combat. And yeah, they are either dying or being injured severely or whatnot. And I'm just very proud of doing that, and people are acknowledging me. I live in Franklin, Milwaukee County, and they nominated me as the marshal for the 4th of July parade. Now, Greendale was looking for Colin Powell to do it, and I'm thinking, how do I relate with this guy? So I was very proud.
So I guess another question, Susan, Should I call you Susan or Susie?
Either one.
Sergeant Sondheim.
Yeah.
What do you
Oh, you know
want?
what they called me at Walter Reed? Sergeant Susie.
Yeah.
That's
You want me to call you Susie or Susan?
Susie.
Okay, Susie. I forgot my question now.
Yeah, it's all right.
Um,
Take a break.
Basically along the lines of how it affected you, but just how has it changed your life as far as, I mean, what you're doing now? You've got these opportunities coming up, you're getting attention. I mean, how does that play into the whole thing? I mean,
That's the only part I like out of my civilian life. I'd rather be back there and fight right now. I don't like the civilian life. I didn't have worries, financial worries when I was there, or other types of worries. Like when I came home, I was pretty mixed up. I didn't drive a car while I was at Walter Reed. I didn't notice my disabilities till I got home, got behind a wheel. I was going out with my friends, drinking and driving, and yes, I did receive 2 OWIs within 1 year. So I'm like, oh, I'm a criminal in my own country? I don't want to be here. I really don't. So that took me back. That was painful, just receiving those OWIs, not being able to drive whatsoever.
I can imagine.
It's awful what the system does to you.
But just what you said about civilian life, and again, as far as Vietnam, the way those guys came home, 3 days before they're in combat, and a lot of them came home by themselves, and it was terrible. There was
Yes.
nothing for them, and
I
they're
know.
suffering today, 40 years later. So, but so I can kind of relate to what you said about, you know, why. So you're fully discharged, so you can't be back in the military doing anything now. Or?
Not really.
Yeah.
No. I did try going back in, but
Okay.
I didn't fully try. They wanted records of my medical records, and they're too many.
Susie, what should our country know about Iraq and what's happening today?
That it's gotten a lot better. They're starting to take over their own country, and us being there is probably one of the best things. I know it was rough in the beginning, but we're getting the head guys, and hopefully we get the top one.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But we're doing a lot of justice there, and there's a lot of things that we don't know that's going on and what they're doing. The media doesn't say much. They really don't. I mean, that's the way they are.
What lessons do you think we learned from Vietnam today?
That when a soldier comes home, don't spit on them. Welcome them home. Otherwise, they go to drugs and alcohol or suicide. So,
Have you stayed in touch with a lot of people that you served with over there?
not really. Once you're injured, it's like you're not part of that unit. Although I kept trying to keep in touch with them. I wanted them to know my progression at Walter Reed, and then they're like, yeah, let us know, you know, how you doing, this and that. I mean, the main head guy of the, I can't think of military terms anymore. But anyways.
That's good.
Yeah.
The general?
No, he was, no.
Adjutant?
Captain Southworth was the leader of our company. He's a phenomenal leader. He said before we left, he gave a good speech. I'm going to make sure you're all going to come home in one piece. Although one did die, and one was severely injured, which was me. Out of a whole platoon, that's pretty good. That is. But I was an eye-opener for my company, which is pretty good that I did get injured because they changed their missions. They went looking for the bomb makers. So that helped.
Anybody else that you knew while you were there wounded or killed or during your time in Iraq?
There were some of them wounded. I have a female friend who I finally pinned a Purple Heart on her, and I was in the Milwaukee Sentinel Journal. She got severely wounded from an IED, so she was bruised the whole left side of her. So she's got to take a certain medication to keep her blood thin, and she's a high risk for anything if, you know, she gets bruised again. So, but there's another guy who had, I think, he had diplopia where he's seeing double, so he had either shrapnel kind of touch his eye or something, I'm not sure, but he had to wear a patch because it counteracts with the double vision. There's a few people, yeah, that came to Walter Reed that I seen, but they were there a very short time and they went back home. And I had to stay for treatments, procedures, and a lot of surgeries. But I only keep in contact with 2 people from the unit, 2 females.
I am producing eventually a documentary on women in war.
Oh,
And I've been fortunate to find over a dozen World War II nurses and some
Yeah.
from back then. I'm digging up as many of them as I can, but and some contemporary people like yourself. But just briefly, tell me the importance of women in the military from World War II and even to today, how important that is.
how important it is for women being in the war. We're treated like the men. We're treated the same. So it's truly up to the female. They want to go in and you sign the papers to go in. If there's a war, you're going to go in.
But just even 60 years ago when women weren't in combat, I guess my question is just women in the military in general, that is a part of our society, and yet we fail to recognize that.
Exactly. Put it this way, our whole company, half of us were women. And you don't find many companies like that. So, no, it was good to see a lot of women there around me.
Tell me just briefly about your basic training when you initially went. Where did you have basic training?
Basic training was 1980, I believe, Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Boy, you don't hardly even remember that, huh?
No, that was 22. I've got traumatic brain injury, and my memory is pretty bad.
I'm assuming it was just as tough as the men's. I mean, as far as what they put women through, right? The discipline, the training.
Yes, it was tough for me. I mainly went in the military for discipline. I knew I needed it. I knew I was getting unruly. I was swearing a lot. I was just pissed off at the world. I'm like, I need some discipline. I think the military is good for that. My mother didn't want me in. I said, Mom, I need this. So basic training was tough. It was tough.
You said something about your brain injury. Now
I found out, they said I have PTSD. They had me go through a series of TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, at Walter Reed. I never got results. I'm going through them at the VA. They actually found out I do have damage in the back of my head because of the certain dizziness, and they watch your eyes. That's if your eyes go like that when you're dizzy, that's in your ear. My eyes went that way, and they said that's brain damage. I just found that out. I'm like, oh. So they put me on medications for the dizziness because how they found out is one weekend I have a little scooter. I was looking underneath it. I got up and I was dizzy like that, constant. And I had a puppy at the time and I kept dropping him. That was a Friday, and I didn't get help until Monday when I went back, to the VA to work, and I went into the ER, and they gave me a pill for I think it's called meclizine or something, for while driving in sickness or whatever that's called. So the doctor sent me to ENT, and they couldn't figure me out. They sent me to the major trauma center, Frederick Hospital. They did a series of traumatic brain injury series. I mean, that's how they found out. So.
You drive?
I drive. But I have to drive. I don't drive at night because I can't see the lights, the gradations of them. That's why I kept going through red lights. They looked green. I can't see colors too well anymore.
Now, you mentioned your eye being saved, but you have no vision in your left eye.
Absolutely not. They drain the fluid out. It's vitrectomy. They have some other fluid in there. Even though they reattached the retina, I still can't see. Actually, I had shrapnel in the good eye. I just had that removed from the VA successfully. Now, the shrapnel that was in the conjunctiva was the color of your eye. It was deep and it was rusted, so it was metal. And I also had shrapnel in the white part of the eye, like up here in the nasal area. They actually removed it, and the one that was deep, they said if it leaked while removing it, they'd have to put a donor piece there on the conjunctiva. And thank God it didn't leak, because I'd be seeing a white spot all the time. And I can't handle having a spot on my glasses being blind in one eye. So I'm pretty proud of what the VA did with that surgery.
When you see pictures of yourself before your injury, what do you think about?
I don't like my looks right now. I look completely different. I'm paralyzed on the left side, just one nerve.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known.
No, I can't lift this nostril. And it's from, I had the facial surgeries at Walter Reed right away to put cheek implants in because the dent was this way on my cheek. Even though shrapnel went that way, it dented that way. So I had a wonderful cosmetic surgeon who put the cheek implants in. And they're silicone. I'm not allergic to silicone, but I'm allergic to everything. They fell through. Yeah, especially the with left side. And he did it twice, and they're sewed in. So.
Now, I don't want to interrupt you while I ask this question, so I want to ask this, but I want you to answer it from start to finish. But you mentioned the Purple Heart, the first woman. Give me the whole statement or story or how that, just tell me that.
I am the first female in the history of the National Guard to receive a Purple Heart. Yeah, I mean, there's women that's received Purple Hearts before, but this is never in the National Guard.
National Guard, nationally or just in Wisconsin? Whole country?
Yeah, I believe so. This is what they tell me. It's something I never known until they told me.
Interesting.
And I'm like, wow, really? Yeah, I'm proud of it. I am.
So again, are you getting a lot of attention now? I mean, things come up and.
It was rough going back to the VA in the beginning. They were refusing to give me pain meds. They'd give you a speech that you have an addiction. I said, you know what? You should ask me why I want the pain meds instead of giving me the speech. Don't go there. I've been on pain meds at Walter Reed. I don't have an addiction. I need them on board. So they finally gave them to me. One doctor, I switched doctors. He's wonderful. And I think I was interviewed by the Journal Sentinel, I think last year. I spoke up, they were speaking about Walter Reed versus the VA. I said, Walter Reed is phenomenal. And so the VA caught on to that, and the director's calling me, asking me, we didn't know you felt this way. I said, well, I do. And this is how it is, and this is how I feel. I mean, they weren't giving me eye drops for my good eye, that it would dry up too. So they would question me on things. I'm like, you know, this isn't helping me. Yeah. So now I spoke up, and they will listen.
Good.
Yeah, they're good. They're excellent.
Did you find out about my work through the little thing in the paper? Was just a little brief, or?
Gundel, a female who's in Madison. She's the head of something I'm not sure of, women's something. She always emails me on a lot of things, and she emailed me about you, that you're going to be in town interviewing veterans, and that's how I contacted you.
Tell me why you felt you might want to talk with me today.
Why? I want to speak up. It helps me. It helps me with my PTSD to talk about it and have someone here in front of me who cares. So that's why yep. It is.
Vietnam vets, I'm hearing that watch that film that I produced, and it's helping with the healing process. They're finding it's okay to talk about it. They're seeing others talk about it, and as you watch that, I think it'll really help you too as far as what you're going through.
Now,
they're wanting to use that, in fact, with people coming back from Iraq today. It hasn't reached that point, but I feel like it could help.
Well, being a nurse on the wards and dealing with Vietnam vets, they wouldn't say a word about it, and it made them worse. I mean, they were pretty bad off. You know.
So what's the future hold for Susie?
For me, well,
what do you want to do in the next 10 years?
I want to retire. I want to sit home. I want to receive disability instead of working, because I know I qualify. It's just you have to be off of work for 6 months. I'm making too much right now to receive it. So I'd have to work. I only work part-time, 25 hours a week. I'd have to go down to 15 hours a week. It's a little rough for me because that actually just goes and pays for my condo, what I work for. I don't see that money. I live off of my 100% disability checks that I get through the VA.
What do you want to do retired, though? You said sit at home. What are you going to do? I'm just curious personally.
I'm not sure. I probably, you know.
Do you have hobbies?
I started guitar before I left.
Good.
I haven't picked it up yet. I probably will.
That's good.
When I'm ready.
I'll teach you.
Yeah?
Want me to?
Yeah, I need a teacher.
I'm a guitar player.
Oh, really? Oh, my gosh.
Piano and guitar, yeah. I love
Awesome.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really into it before I left, but I don't know, I'm not ready yet.
Well, when I come back to this area, I'm going to go into some schools. Normally I do a World War II presentation. I'm starting to do a Vietnam one, but I would like to invite you to come with me when I do go. Whether we talk about World War II or not, you'll have an introduction. You'll get to share a few moments. And
okay.
I did that last month in Maryland. I had a World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Oh,
wow.
Man, it was powerful.
Really?
Well, those kids are just like You know, I mean, it was.
Yep.
I had that gentleman that's a AAA amputee from Vietnam. And
Yeah.
when they saw him, they just like, and he's got prosthetics, but still, he doesn't want on his right arm. But it's like price for freedom, man.
I know.
I'm trying to talk to these kids, and that's one of my questions I want to ask you is, if you could say something to a young person of today about freedom or the price of freedom, what would you say to them?
What would I say to a young person? Don't join the military?
No.
Oh.
Don't join now. Okay, let me rephrase. Okay. I talk to kids in schools, and you know, the fact is we're born in a free country, and they don't really realize the sacrifices that have been made to keep our freedoms. That's the question: is the price or the cost of freedom. I mean, how would you communicate that to somebody who doesn't know anything about, you know, what the price is? I mean, you go to a cemetery, a national cemetery, you see all these crosses. It's like it hits home. You know, there's a price.
That's pretty much what they need to see, hearing people like us veterans, listening to us, going to schools and speaking to them and having them actually look at you, and they are in awe when they actually meet you. That's pretty much, you know, how they can learn the price of freedom, by us letting them know, so they get acknowledged from us.
And one of my questions to the World War II vets is what freedom means to them. So I'm going to ask you that. What does freedom mean to you, Susie?
Being here, home in the States, being back home, that's your only freedom. And yeah, it's a good freedom. To feel safe, and that we're over there fighting for our safeness, to keep down the terrorist activity around here. And I believe it's helped the war. Yep.
I don't get political at all in my interviews at all. That's not part of my mission. Let me ask you this. What does the American flag mean and represent to you?
Patriotism with freedom. And I believe every school should do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. I believe they should. I remember doing it as a child, and it didn't sink in until later on. Why am I doing this? Why are we doing this pledge? Until actually I joined the military. Then I realized how good the flag was. It didn't sink in until then.
So you're completely out of the military now.
Yes, I'm a disabled veteran. Like I said, I receive 100% benefits because I've got 2 pages of injuries. So
you are a veteran.
yeah, and that didn't sink in either until like I had mentioned that I met the Vietnam veterans. They kept telling me, "You're a veteran." I'm like, well, okay. I'm like, yeah, all right.
And
But
again, this is a unique opportunity for me because most of the people I interview are 85 years old, basically. So, other than the Vietnam vets that I'm interviewing, but are you proud that you're an Iraqi vet?
yes, I am. I'm very proud. And when I work at work, I'll wear that land with my badge. I'll have my little Purple Heart on there, and I wear my dog tags, and people question me, "So whose Purple Heart is that?" "Oh, that's mine." They're like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I was hit by a bomb in Iraq." And so they're like, "Why do you wear your dog tags?" I said, "I'm very proud of them." I am. I mean, there may be a lot of veterans at the VA, they wear their dog tags, but they hide them. I show them. Yeah, I'm proud of it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, can you kind of just, I'm going to tilt the camera down. Just show me what you have around your neck and then show me the Purple Heart. Go ahead.
This?
Yeah.
This is the Purple Heart clock that you can purchase through the Purple Heart magazine with the DD-214. And on the back, it says Susan K. SONNHEIM, Sergeant, with your Social Security number. And the years I was deployed, activated 2003 to 2005.
Right.
And the Purple Heart symbol. This is stating that's the United States Army veteran. And this is the real Purple Heart with George Washington on it. That's the real one.
Good. And all the ribbons?
All the ribbons, global war and terrorism, being a reservist. It's a whole mess of things. If I wrote it down, I'd know. I've got it on my DD-214 what all the ribbons mean.
Why did you go into the military initially?
Initially, I went in for discipline when I was 22 years old. I was unruly. Oh, it helped. The basic training, oh, the privates would get out of my way at the end of our day because I'd throw my gear. I was like, I can't take this. But I stuck to it, and I went through basic training.
You did well.
I did well, actually being born with asthma.
Wow.
I was having attacks before, but I didn't have any asthma attacks during, and you run every day, and that's like the worst thing to do for an asthmatic. But actually, I made my lungs stronger.
Is it bad to talk about the explosion that hurt you? I mean, is that something that you've run over in your mind 1,000 times?
No, there's no reason to.
Like, how could I have prevented
No.
it? Maybe I could have turned the other way, or...
I thought of that for a while I was at Walter Reed, but you know, thinking about it isn't going to change anything. What happened happened. I wish I would have just sat down or turned around. There was no time to think. It was a split second. And then when I was hit, I was thrown up in the air. I seen bright lights. I'm like, I'm not ready to die. I thought of my mom. I thought of my husband. I felt like I was up in the air, like I was dying for like many minutes. And then I fell on my back. I fractured my lower spine. That was a small fracture. And my Kevlar, which is the helmet you wear, flew off. So a medic, that medic was there for me. She put my Kevlar back on. And there was another medic that came from Gunner Palace. We have to give intel to someone higher up than us that we're going out on a mission and this is where we're going to be, just in case something happens. And sure enough, there's a CD out there called Gunner's Palace where they actually speak about, well, we got a wounded soldier down, American military police. So they send one of their medics from their base, which was only, I think, a couple blocks away. You can actually see the light and hear the bomb that hits me in the documentary. But the filmmaker that came and seen me, he was so devastated. He'd never seen a soldier so wounded that he didn't ask me to be interviewed. And I needed that. I wanted him to ask me because I was awake, because I needed that closure to see how I looked. I needed that, and to hear the surroundings. You can hear us fighting back on that. It's a pretty neat tape. Yeah. And sometimes Gunner Palace is where we eat a hot meal, sometimes if we had time. Otherwise, you're eating the MREs, the meals ready to eat. Oh, I didn't eat those.
So you just slowed it down a bit for me again about this explosion, and you didn't say that the first time. That was really powerful what you just said, that you thought you were dying. And
yes.
I would assume it was more than just a blast. It was like, it was quite an experience.
Uh-huh. To have shrapnel sever your skin, your soft tissues, and a million different pieces.
But you mentioned hypershock. It's like at the time, it's like you don't realize it, do you?
No, you're awake. You know what's going on. You don't know of your injuries. I thought my legs and arms were off. I didn't know I was blind in this eye until I got to Walter Reed. No idea.
Are you thankful that you're alive today, obviously?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. I am. And it helped my company that I got hit. It really did. It probably saved them in different ways.
So who's the support system in your life?
Um,
Family, friends, work?
The support system is people at work. They're awesome. They're phenomenal. They know about me, and they just feel honored to have me around. And the support at home is actually the ex-husband. He's got his own condo, but he's at my place every night. So I'm going to sell my condo. He's going to sell his. We're going to get a duplex side by side. He's my basically only support right now.
So he's come a long way. Is that
Yeah, he has. He's had the depression pretty bad. He had to be on pills. A lot of anger.
because of this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how he got separated and divorced.
Well, that's a story.
A lot of people do when they get home from the war. They just you tend to clash with each other, you know, and you just can't be together. But
Well, this has been good. Anything else you might want to say that I haven't asked you, you think? Anything come to mind? Or, I mean, I could sit here for a long time talking to you, but because your story is very unique.
yeah.
But I want to thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you.
what you've done for our country, it means a lot to me. the work
Thank
that
you.
I do.
I'd go back anytime.
What does Veterans Day mean to you? Or
It means a lot to me. It means that we're being acknowledged and honored. And they should let the children know in schools. They should give a little speech, all the teachers, about Veterans Day, what it means. You know, let them know.